So a lot of people think you have the choice to leave the Amish culture if you want to, but that's not true. I lost my best friend in a buggy accident and she passed away. At that funeral, there was some things said where they didn't think she was going to heaven, and I realized I can't subscribe to this anymore. And so I had to make a choice. So the day I decided to leave, I was 17. I was staying with my sister and she had an upstairs. So I packed what I could, and it was probably like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. I dropped those bags out the window. There was this moment sitting at the ledge thinking, I'm either going to jump or I'm going to have to turn around and face what my family wants me to do and feel like I'm dying internally, or I can jump and see what happens. I jumped out of a 2-story house in the middle of the night. And then I contacted my friend that I had on the outside. They were able to pick me up and I was able to leave that way. A lot of people think that it's a very peaceful culture. The truth is it's very controlling. It's like a cult, right? They have all these rules. They have all these things that you have to follow. There's a lot of abuse and there's a lot of rape inside the culture. It's more so the girls. And this could be anyone from someone else in the community. It could be their brothers. It could be their parents. There's some situations where the girls continue to stay in that same environment because they don't have a choice to do anything else. I know of multiple situations where it was their dad and the girls are like stuck in this situation. And sometimes the community will step in, but there's no there's no punishment for that person that has done the rape. And so it never gets reported because it's such a secluded community that they don't want you to report it. So a lot of people think you have the choice to leave the culture if you want to. That's not necessarily true. You don't have that choice. You don't have that 16 to 18 period of, oh, you can leave and you can go try it out. If you choose to leave the culture, then don't come back. You go through a shunning process. Some communities treat the shunning process a little bit different, and each community has their own rules and their guidelines. So in the community I lived, there was no music, there was no TV, there was no connecting with outside world. The only connection that we had that was outside of the community was through my dad's business. So I think a lot of the misconception is that they are happier because they don't have all this outside influence. They are not happier and they are not more peaceful. They are human just like anyone else. I would say the biggest thing is they are very much judgmental, even though the outside world does not see that. And they don't understand true unconditional love, how to truly unconditional love themselves and those around them, even their children, because they have not been taught that. I was not your normal Amish girl who listened to the rules. I was very much like rebel. I'll try it out. I'll do all these things to test it. And I ask why a lot. So I knew that I either had to stay there and do all the things they wanted me to do. And as a female in the culture, you don't have a voice. You're not seen. You're not heard. You are strictly just there to be the wife and the mom. You're just there to have babies. You learn how to cook, clean, and start becoming like a wife, and you're married by the time you're 18, and you start having kids. But something deep down in my soul said, this is not right. This is not for you. And I knew this at a very young age, even though I wasn't allowed to express it, because when I did express it and when I did question the rules, I would get punished for it because I was being disrespectful. You did get to choose your partner, but you did not get to choose having a career in the Amish culture. That's not a choice as a female. And the rules are very much like you wear all the clothes they tell you to wear. There's certain guidelines on the clothes, on your hair. Like you can only wear black socks. You can only wear long dresses. So you're not allowed to wear pants. And the other rules were like who you can and can't associate with. The way you show up, you have to go to church. Their church is like every Sunday for 3 hours. So the church has a set of rules. There's no drinking. There's no smoking. There's no drugs. If you do those things, there's consequences and there's punishment. You get grounded, you have to confess to the church, you get put into this like trial phase, what they call the shunning phase, until you're proved to them that you can follow the rules, then they take you out of it, and then you're allowed to participate within the community again. And I was grounded for 6 months for drinking. When I left, the first couple of weeks, were challenging because it was a completely different world. I had to decide on clothes. I had to decide on what I was going to do with my hair. I had to make all these decisions. That was my first step to get my education so I could actually start working. And then I wanted to go to college. I did end up going to Purdue and graduating from there a little bit later. I am not going back there. I don't fit in there. I am not meant for that life. And the more I'm outside of the culture, the more I understand and listen to my soul. And I know that I was right in that moment and I would not go back today. But the first couple of months were really challenging for me internally because I was dealing with guilt. I was dealing with shame. So I dealt with a lot of worthiness issues and had to deal with that. And I wouldn't say that I really truly dealt with it until maybe about 5 or 10 years later. I started doing a lot of self-development, a lot of spirituality. I started forgiving myself, learning how to love myself, learning how to really truly see myself as the worthy person that I am. And I don't have to do all these things to be worthy. I will say that growing up that way taught me a lot of things. It taught me the work ethic. It taught me to be respectful. It taught me how to have values in your life. But a lot of that, when I left, I had to completely shift my identity and ask myself, who do I want to become now? If you are in a culture, whether that is in a completely different culture than the Amish culture, just know if your soul is telling you to get out, and if your soul is saying, this is not for me, even though you don't know how to exit it, and you're going to have to leave your family to exit it, listen to your soul, because your soul will never mislead you. It will never mislead you. But sometimes we get so caught up in the way we were conditioned and the way we were raised that we think that's the only way. And so I would say if you're listening to this and you're in a current culture or you're in a current situation, just know when you start listening to your soul, the answers will be there. They may not be the answers that you want to hear, but the answers will be there.